Good morning. Welcome to the press conference of the film Morir, Dying, a film which is included as a special projection out of competition in the 65th edition of the San Sebastian International Film Festival. To speak about the film, we have most of its creators. We've got the producer Guadalupe Badreguer, Coldo Azua. We've got the two main actors, Andres Gertrudis and Mariana Alvarez, who come back to San Sebastian after achieving for Herida her Silver Shell as Best Actress, and Fernando Franco, who comes back after obtaining the same year a special jury award for the film La Herida. And now the film is called Morir, Dying. Fernando, tell us a bit, to start off, before the questions, how the project started, emerged, and perhaps the producers could also explain what was your interest in Fernando's proposal. Well, good morning to everyone. Thank you very much for coming along. The project starts just when we were shooting La Herida. I read a novel by Arthur Nisler, who is an author who I like very much. It's a novel. It's called Dying, Morir, the same, and I thought it was good material to work upon, to perhaps adapt it, and that's where I started going through a process of an initial writing on my own, and now with Coral Cruz, then, who's the co-script writer, where we got away from the original novel a little bit. We distanced ourselves until we had a scripted version which we shot, and then because of changes we did in the editing, ended up returning things in the novel that it got lost on the way. So basically it started as an adaptation of the novel because I liked the novel, which addressed the issue in an interesting way to put it on screen. Yes. Coldo, Guadalupe, could you say something? Well, the truth is, what we liked was the La Herida. The experience was great, the relationship in the process of making that film was very good, and from the creative side as well. And then when Fernando addressed the possibility of making this new film, we started up without any delay. There wasn't too much of a debate here or discussion. I think one of the virtues is that Fernando is a person who's sufficiently coherent and sensible enough, and his creative space in that sense is, we try to keep it as free as possible for him. And that's how the story, it was continuity and empathy, and the truth is we're very satisfied with the result. Guadalupe, would you like to add anything? No. No, we had the support of institutions that helped us for the financing of the film. Could ICAA, the Basque Government, Canal Sur, EITB, all of these enable the process to be easier. Andres and Marian take a risk with a film like this. When you read the script, what's that all about? Well, fear. No, it's a lot of, we're very lucky, but it is also an enormous responsibility, but also the feeling of being very closely accompanied with Fernando and with Marian makes things much easier. Hi, good morning. Excuse me, because I have a hoarse voice. This is all I've got left of my voice. Well, after La Herida, yes, I was a bit fearful because we knew each other, and then after such an intense experience with La Herida, when I received the script of Morir, Dying, I think a character like this is very good luck, but if it happens twice, such as has happened in this case, so therefore I want to thank him very much for choosing me. I haven't been out this evening. Last night, better said, no, I've got a hoarse voice, and yes, I would just like to thank these characters of very powerful women, and with so much depth that really touch you as an actress, and I think it's I've got to be very grateful, and that's all I can really say as regards this. Yes, there's a question here. Hi, good morning. After seeing the film with some colleagues, we were talking about that it's also mistreatment, it's dying, but it's also a very masculine way what happens, there are people that get turn bad, and there's a feeling of, it's almost of being poorly treated, and that's the same thing as happened in relationships in life. So therefore I'd like to know, what do you think of all this, Fernando? Well, we were interested in portraying a relationship, a couple, a love relationship between a couple that wasn't a relationship, a standard romantic novel without any cracks and no gray areas, but black or white. That is to say, love has a lot of faces. Some are good and some are bad. Egoism and harassment is one of the things that's there. But that's what I liked about the novel when I read the novel, and that was that it moves in a border, which is a delicate border. But what happened here? Why does they behave here? You can perhaps try to understand him, maybe not understanding. That's slippery ground, shall we say, that is also a complicated line to work with from an empathy standpoint vis-a-vis the audience. But I thought that was exciting and stimulating. The film works. There's no background really like in La Herida as well, my first film. So therefore this allows for addressing things in a different way, and I think makes sense. It makes sense in the film. It has those voids. I'm not too sure whether the actors have anything to say. How you've worked upon on your portrayal of the characters. No, at no time did we think that prior to the illness it was harassment or he was poorly treating her. But an illness like that, well, obviously brings about death in a very short amount of time when you're young. It modifies your relationship with your couple, love, and you feel fear, you feel pain, you feel jealousy. And so there are a lot of things that are involved in there. But we were never aware of the fact that we were working on me poorly treating her, or any sort of harassment between the two characters. This might happen, and Fernando's film is easy. You have to interpret it. Obviously, he presents it, and you draw your conclusion. That's one conclusion once you see the film. If you think about the film, that could be the case. But prior to that, we didn't go down that line. No, not at all. Hi, there was a question over here. Hi, good morning. Congratulations to the three of you for a great piece of work that you've just made or filmed. I would like to talk about the temporal side of things. I think the first time is when Andres' character says he wants to choose how to die, and there is a difference of opinion with his girlfriend and so on, or partner. I'm not too sure, I don't know the novel, but how is that dealt with in the novel? Because I thought that was very interesting, and it just gets stuck there, that I say it's addressed as a possible approach, but then in the next part we see he's in a hospital with treatment and so on, and then the other side is when everything gets so difficult between them. That scene on the terrace, it's got a dramatic ending, so allowing the audience to breathe. Yeah, on the bar terrace, yes. Yes, thank you. Okay, as regards to the first thing, those time ellipses, I like them very much, that ellipses. I'm also an editor as well, and I think ellipses, I think it's a fundamental tool from the cinematographic standpoint, but the novel, shall we say, it's a bit more continuous in that sense, and the novel is also articulated with an internal monologue of each of the characters. There's a clear difference because the translation of the internal monologue would be a voice on off camera, which I wanted to not do and sacrifice from the outset. Nevertheless, on the other hand, the point of view is more towards her character, but those ellipses was to generate those voids I was talking about before as part of the narrative, and to tell how there's a metamorphosis of things as throughout the film. And the scene on the terrace, as you were talking about, yes, it's it's a sequence in which I'm not too sure it's because of the fact that it's an idiosyncrasy that I have because I'm an editor of films, but you might, a film can have a lot of intensity, but you've got to, can't be intense all the time. You've got to take your foot off the accelerator and then accelerate it again, which is what happens more or less in the film. So try to manage those times, shall we say, and the emotional connection that the audience may have or the spectator can have with the characters. We want a little stop-off period, so to speak, in order to achieve a balance in the film. And also, I think the character requires this at the present moment in time in the film. Hi. Congratulations. I like the film very much, the truth be said. I would like to ask the actors as well as the director, how a shoot like this, it's tough to see, so I imagine acting it out and being a director is probably very intensive. How does it affect you at the end of the day? The truth is it's a very long process. And with Fernando, we rehearsed a lot. We had to construct a couple that's not us. And what we had to destroy the being a couple, so that when you come to on the day of shoot, you've structured things so much and you've rehearsed things so much, but the truth is that it's not tough because what you do is to convey everything you've done in the past to that moment. But personally, I can say that because Marta and Luis, these two characters, to portray them is complicated, but you can't stop thinking that it might happen to you. But whatever, at the end of the day, life continues, and when you leave the set, the interesting thing is you don't get hooked on that. You've got a certain distance to your characters in order to review and revise everything you've done. And then it's also it's a plot. We are actors who we like to give everything on set, but once that's over, life has to continue because otherwise it's impossible to sustain that intensity. But despite it being a tough experience, it's very enriching to portray a character like this because you learn so many things, so many personally as well as as a couple. It's always enriching, and I think that the spectators. Yeah, I think it's an enriching journey also in many sense, in a lot of senses for the spectators. Yes. Excuse me. No, the actor wants to speak now. Well, I just would like to say it was very similar to the actress. That is, it's very similar to what happened to me. I suffered a process of physical decadence that I had to lose weight and then put on weight according to the script. What the script required and what the moment in which we were shooting. I remember days that I looked at myself and I said, geez, where are you going? But then I suffered more in other films, the truth be said, because there wasn't so much prior work. It wasn't too clear. Nevertheless, I suffer as an actor when the things aren't clear. When the things are clear, no matter how hard they are or tough they are, you've got a guideline to follow, so you know where to go. So therefore, we had Fernando with us, behind us, holding us up and backing us up, and we carried out we rehearsed a lot. We rehearsed for 6 months before shooting the film, stopping to reflect upon what we'd done and allowing ourselves seeking and not going to do something off the bat. That is to say, the question was, how can we tell the story about this moment in the best possible way? And that was the tough part of the process, but then shooting the film, not. And the characters suffer, but you don't, and that's the interesting side of things. You suffer. If you don't suffer, the character has to suffer. So, suffer. No. There's the debate. Sorry, you got it wrong. Okay. Yes, from what Andres has just said, I would like to ask you, because knowing how Fernando works, it seems that it's impossible what I'm going to ask you. Tell me yes, please. But did he allow you to get involved in it? To change anything? That's my first question. Did he allow you to to contribute and to change anything that what he had already foreseen in the script. Yes, the rehearsal process is so long because Fernando is very generous. He's got a guide, he's got the script, but he considers it something which is alive. We rehearsed, we destroyed, we redestroyed, we improvised, we saw what worked and what didn't, and Fernando at that time gave us absolute freedom to propose not only us, but the rest of the crew and the cast. And he's very generous, Fernando, but always towards the shoot. Once we see that everything is in place, the shoot is to go there and hit and do it perfectly. Because I must say also, as Fernando the way Fernando shoots with insight, remember when he says action, you've also got the freedom, because as you're always, he's following me with a dolly shot, and as an actor, he gives you the freedom to fly, and then he's there to decide at that moment when he edits it whether it's worthwhile or not. But I think it's a perfect process for me, and I think that thanks to this process, Fernando can make the films that he makes and to tell the stories that he tells and how he tells them, which is interesting. Yes, Fernando allowed us to participate in the film from the first draft of the script. This was several years back, and so therefore, and we've gone over that. We've gone over things. We've given our opinion, and you propose things at the same time. But at the end of the day, 90% of the things that Fernando proposes are better than what we propose. So therefore, that's not true. That's not true. Yes, it is. There's 4 against 1, but that is the way it works. Yes, I love the film. I thought it was a great film. Fernando, could you talk about something that fascinates me, is how time goes by in the film, how you modulate with those little plays that they do, how he loses his time with her, all of this. Could you go further in detail there? Well, before I answered in that field, I answered because it talks about the process, that ellipses are very important, and those voids that happen in the film it's important. It's very important to see how time goes by. Important in Andres's body, it's talk about the time goes by and how in her looks and how she and her face to know what's going on within her character, which is one of the challenges in the film, in the sense that to not concentrate only upon both of them, but let's leave any periphery or any satellite elements. She doesn't have a lot to hold on to deliver everything emotionally, apart from the time she's on her own or with her when she's with him, the time that she's with him. But nevertheless, I think that without going over but the raw material in films is time. I'm an editor, and our tools are a timeline. So therefore, a film is an artistic object that starts at a given moment and finishes when the lights are switched on at the end of the film. And then you've got to try to see it all in one go. So the challenge was to condense all of that time that goes by in this hour and 40 minutes of the film. But the light is also important. Santiago Racar's work, Miguel Ángel Rebollo, the artistic director, but how he modified the house and things that happen in the house. But through those little details or little gestures, from something in a Trezzo, for example, to see how, without announcing that and telling the spectators how much time has gone by, but you've got to have an idea that this process is at least underway. I'm not too sure whether I've answered you could. And I've also got another curiosity, because I couldn't find it, and that's my fault. Who did you allow to, who edited? Miguel Doblado has edited this. And also I would like to ask you, because both producers have said, as you were producing any film in a very natural way, all of a sudden you realize that it was worthwhile to produce it. I think you're very courageous, and I'd like you to explain the entire the process, because I imagine to come along with a film like that, yes. No, it's not easy. Obviously, Guadalupe and I work in different fields in the small Spanish film industry, and obviously you realize that no film is easy, but there are some that are much easier than others. And this film obviously has two elements from the point of view of the audience, and commercially some agents don't even, it's not worthwhile calling at their door because they're not going to be interested in it, but there are another series of financing that is possible for this film, and that's what you've got to do it at the right scale. You've got to do it at the right scale so that you've got to be able to do things how you can at the end of the day. So this film has a certain size, which is possible to make it with the financial structures that we have in Spain, that obviously would have liked to have done it with more money and perhaps made money at the same time, but I don't know. Well, we'll see what happens. And not everything is to become rich in life and be wealthy and make a lot of money. No, it's been paid, our salaries have been paid, and so on, but it's not a film obviously to make a lot of money. I'm not too sure whether I answered your question. Guadalupe, you want to add anything? No, she says. Hi, good morning. Fernando, you were saying that it was a film which was very real, so real that I'm sure there are many people, many more. It's very difficult to find someone who hasn't gone through a similar process close up. And I would like to know whether you've thought how these people may see this film and receive it, how they can feel when they see it. Yes, of course. I've thought about it. I think all of us have thought about it. This material is very sensitive in the film. It's quite universal at the same time. Very, because it touches all of us. And to a certain extent, what happens in the film, you can't go in depth, but we've done a lot of prior documentation, research. I started from a novel, which starts off, but then I investigated things and did all the research, which covered a couple of years reading. And I've talked to doctors, I've been advised and counseled by people that have gone through similar situations. And we try to be very rigorous and to not fall into melodrama and always working in a very contained and a respect and coherent way. That was our intention at every given moment throughout the film. But then we've had the good fortune that at prior viewings, people have come along and have said they've gone through situations similar to this, and that they thought that perhaps the film could be difficult to them before seeing it, but then it had worked. They've seen, they were able to see certain things, and this was even a releasing element for the person who had seen the film. This obviously makes you feel relaxed. In La Herida, the same thing. The material was very sensitive. You're talking about a mental disease, a disorder, a complicated disorder, and obviously we can say that you run the risk of getting involved in there to try to do it in the most rigorous way possible to address this issue. But obviously, it's not done ad hoc, shall we say, no. Hi, I'd like to talk about the last scene. When I saw the scene, the window scene, that's how what I thought there was going to be the end of the film. But then there was an extra scene later on. I think I know what it means, because we've discussed this film with colleagues here after seeing it. I think I know what it means, but could you truly you, the director, tell us what your opinion? Why didn't you finish in the window scene and you decided to put on that extra scene? Well, it means whatever you want it to mean. It's a sequence which is open, shall we say, in the following sense, and that is that what we were talking about as regards to what your colleague asked about contention and contain. That's what the idea. The same thing happened in La Herida. It's much easier to do a spoiler of La Herida because this was done many years ago, and less so of this film because we've just presented it. But in La Herida, people said this character in that car at the end. What does that mean? I said, well, some people saw that was an ending which was very dramatic. that the character is completely desperate, but we did the contrary here. We thought that was a moment in which the character realized finally he can rise, she could cry, and she had to cut herself and burn herself, and she can only go, it's not obviously a Hollywood happy ending, but she can only go from the bottom up and go, and in this sense, the same thing happens, but it is true nevertheless that, and to say something and to not leave it in the air, but life continues. That's what I'm trying to say, basically. Any further questions? Someone will have to clean that, I think the actress has just said. Me again, and outside the film, just a little bit, I would like to ask you, the director as well as the two main actors, you're very close, you've always been you've been very close to the short film world, and short films can be understood in many ways, as a genre, as a learning process. The team and the cast and the people that see it, so to tell emotional stories, short films are very interesting. I started to get involved in short films, seeing paraísos artificiales, and what a short means, and what a short can do, and what an actor like Andrés is, and then there are other shorts as well, but I would like you to tell me your way of seeing a short within the cinema industry, film industry. I think it's a format which is very in the vogue, it's very valid, it's not the smaller brother of a feature film. No, short films, long films, there's not much. No, but this is a cliche, but we don't say, Cortázar, we don't say that his short films are worse than his long films or feature films. So therefore, I felt very comfortable doing shorts, and I would feel comfortable making short films. And after Lady the Free, in fact, I co-directed with Begoña, who's just there, a short animation film which lasted for 3 minutes. And I would do another short again. In that sense, it doesn't seem to me, and even more so, you should understand, you've got to go one way. You've got to jump from short to feature film. I don't think it's such a big jump. And when you talk about the leap from editing to directing, I continue to edit films. I still make films, and after doing Morir, or Dying, this film, I've edited another film. It's a two-way street, really. You've got to do what you've got to do. There are things that you want to tell, stories you want to tell, fit into a short, and other into a feature film. For me, short films are what they are on their own, that is say, in their own name. It's not a learning process to take a future leap into feature films. I believe there are good films, and short or long or feature films, and I get bad or better scripts, and in the short film format or in the feature film format, whatever. I've worked in many short films with many directors who have taken a leap into the feature film, into feature films. Fernando's one of these. We met shooting Tu Amor, what was that, 10 years ago? Yeah, about 10 years ago. And then we've continued to collaborate and to work, and if he does another short or an animation, it's not animation and he wants actors, well, we'd be glad to participate with him. So therefore, for me, short films are just as valid. I continue to make short films, and I continue to pay attention to the short film industry. And there are other fantastic directors that have not done a feature film, that have only done short films, and they're fantastic directors. Okay, taking full advantage that you're talking about short films, and I thought it was a very tender question, because in this festival, what we're talking about, Netflix and digital platforms and so on, and I would like to know what your opinion is, Fernando, of films in festivals that come off and platforms and these kinds of things. Well, the truth is, to tell you the truth, I haven't thought about it too much. I can say that one of the things in San Sebastian, amongst the things that we can see, we can't because we've got a lot of press conferences to do, but I'd like to see The Plague and Vergüenza. These are two series that come off the platforms, digital platform, and Coveaga's film as well. So I know that there's a big controversy vis-a-vis this issue, but I'm not too sure. What concerns me is how to be able to work with a certain freedom or margin for freedom, because when you receive financing, which is it comes in through 100% through one channel, and the creative control and the control of that material, how to handle it or manage it. But I think in this case, we've worked with total freedom, so therefore I don't feel, from what I understand, what I see, nobody, Charo, nor any of them have had a hand over them saying that this has got to be done this way or the other way. I don't know whether Guadalupe wants to add anything here. Thank you. The experiences that I've had creatively, and the channels that have financed TV series or films, they've never been interventionists. Yes, those pay-per-views, that is to say, pay-per-view channels. So it's important to highlight the difference. On the contrary, they've given creative freedom, and they've been always in favor of the creative process. On that side of things, I don't think there shouldn't be any kind of doubt or any concern at that level. We've participated in a movie vista film, La Zona, it's called. It'll be premiered in Sitges, another one produced by Canal Plus, which is called Armatorio. These are series different to the normal television that you see on open channels or non-pay-per-view, and we're talking about an audience, and this is important in pay-per-view channels. For example, you're looking for another product. One of the assets of those products is the value of the author. For example, movie star, as it goes along this line. I think there may be a certain parallelism with what cinematography is, but then we've got the issue of consumption, but then consumption ends up being theatre consumption or in film theatres and other sorts of support or platforms. It's just that, socially speaking, people have changed their habits in seeing these types of products. I don't want to enter into that debate. I've already explained it. So, okay, if there are no further questions, okay, this is the end of the press conference. I want to thank Fernando, Marian, Andres, and Coldan Guadalupe for having come along with their film to San Sebastian. We wish them the best of luck, and thank you to everyone.